This man picked up his son and jokingly said that if he hadn't had the three of them, he could drink and party freely. Little did he know his words would come true. That very night, a raging fire burned his house to ashes, and his three children died in the flames. When firefighters carried their bodies out of the ruins, their father Sam was devastated beyond words. After a thorough police investigation, the fire wasn't set by Sam but was caused by an accident. When he heard he was being released without charges, he grabbed an officer's gun, wanting to end his own life to beg God's forgiveness. The police quickly rushed over and held him back. Fortunately, the gun wasn't loaded, but that bullet called despair had already pierced through his soul and heart. After losing his three children, Sam's life changed completely. His wife couldn't forgive him and chose to divorce him. People around him didn't understand either, believing he was the murderer of his own children. So he decided to leave Manchester, to leave this place that made life worse than death for him. Before leaving, his older brother brought his son Tony to say their final goodbye. He came to Boston alone because no one knew him there, and no one knew about his past. To survive, he worked as a handyman, with almost endless work every day. He fixed lights for elderly people and unclogged toilets for young black women. But facing enthusiastic customers, he didn't respond much. When encountering unreasonable women, he would always fire back without mercy. He rarely talked to people and didn't care about anyone's opinions, choosing to numb himself with work. He no longer held even a shred of hope for the future. Even at bars, when strange women approached him, his heart remained calm. When strangers nearby glanced at him, he thought they were talking about him. He walked behind them and threw punches, teaching them a lesson, not caring about the consequences. He had lived in that tiny basement in Boston for many years, but his guilt and self-blame over his children never stopped. That day, he was shoveling snow as usual when he suddenly received a mysterious phone call. Someone told him his older brother had suffered a heart attack relapse and wanted to see him one last time. Reluctantly, he had to return to Manchester by the Sea, that place of heartbreak. As soon as he entered the hospital, he saw his brother's colleague. Unfortunately, his brother had died 30 minutes earlier because his condition worsened and couldn't be saved. But having already become numb to life, he didn't show the grief he should have. He had known early on that his brother had heart disease. Although he knew he might pass away, he didn't expect it to be so sudden. When he saw his brother's stiff body in the morgue, he calmly placed his hand on him and gave him a belated embrace. Actually, Sam wasn't a man without feelings. He and his brother had a deep bond. It's just that past events had made him numb, and he no longer felt the heart-wrenching pain he once did about death. After handling his brother's affairs, he drove to his nephew's school. Along the way, Sam drove expressionlessly past familiar streets. More than 10 years had passed, but everything here looked just as it did in his memory. The run-down little house on the edge of town was his former home, but now instead of warmth, there was a frightening chill. Nothing here brought him any comfort. Instead, it brought back painful memories. Soon Sam arrived at his nephew's school. When the nephew saw his uncle appear after such a long time, he probably understood the purpose of his visit. He showed remarkable calm about his father's death, the same indifference he showed when seeing his uncle. Perhaps he had never experienced the meaning of death, or maybe he was unwilling to accept this cruel reality.